Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech Spider-Man version 2.0. Correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't the original Revoltech Spider-Man not this suit with like the neon green stuff going on? Let me know. I don't think it was that. It's like whatever that spider armor is, I don't know. It was just classic, wasn't it? Anyway, this is the new Revoltech Spider-Man. It does have that like tealish color outlining for some things in the eyes and the webbing and stuff. So let's do a question of the day. Do you want them to re-release this Spider-Man in normal colors, even though it looks slightly armory, or do you want them to just make a whole new Spider-Man in classic colors? What do you want? Or do you like this one enough? Let me know what you think. Alright, so this one, you guys said you wanted me to review it. I've heard some people say it's the best Revoltech ever, best Spider-Man. Love it. Other people say, most overrated piece of garbage ever, don't buy it, whatever. Okay, so you got both sides of the spectrum. I'm going to tell you, based on the photos, it looks like a really good Revoltech. Now I have to say Revoltech because you have to make some sacrifices to get something like this, and we're going to talk about all of that. But you know that going in, so you can't really hold it against them if they do a good job, and that's the key thing. So let's go ahead and get this guy off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, before we get into the figure, I do want to show you my package. It's fine for their current packaging. I personally can't stand a bland package like this, even though I don't keep packages, or at least I don't keep them on display or anything. I don't care in that sense, but I still would like to be able to see the figure. The solid gray, just don't get the design. It looks like a phone box, somebody mentioned the other day, and it does. It looks like they're selling tech, modern tech, in an all dark gray package. It's weird. This is a nice photo. I like that. I think this should be a window. Over here, nice. It's all the same promo solicitation shots you've seen before on the packaging. Does a good job to sell the figure, if you ask me. This right here, very heroic looking. You can see the skinnier waist, the meaty thighs, the nice broad shoulders and chest. Pretty good. And then here you can see the figure. We're just going to actually look at the figure in a minute, but now you can see the package. Okay, let's do that. Let's take a look at the figure. Really quick, guys, before we get into the rest of the video, I want to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Into the AM. They are the graphic t-shirt people. They make awesome clothes, so I'm always happy that they want to sponsor a video. This is one of their new designs. It's my personal favorite. It's so colorful. It's a nice samurai design. Very stylized, but very colorful. Love it. I get compliments on these shirts all the time, and every time I get a compliment, I think, I wish I got more sponsorships. And they're back, so hey, that's awesome. It works out. But yeah, these are the best graphic tees I've ever owned. If you want to check them out, there's a link in the description below. It'll save you some money. You can always save money on their website. All kinds of different ways, sales, bundling, whatever you want to do. There's plenty of options. They sell other things too, but I definitely choose the graphic tees to recommend because I think they're amazing. They look wonderful. They fit wonderfully. Everything's good about them, so that's what I would check out if I was you. So, Into the AM, they are sponsoring this video, but I would recommend them. I do all the time to people, even if they're not paying me, because they are just that good of a brand. They have really great clothing, so check them out. Link in the description below. I want to just start off by saying, before anything else, I don't have anything against Revoltech. It's a preference thing if you like the ugly joints for the benefit of articulation. That's purely preference. My only problem with them has ever been QC. And, technically, if the joints are too ugly for what they offer. And sometimes they have been, sometimes they haven't been. It's totally preference if you like the extra cuts or not. I don't care. That's not my job as a reviewer to tell you what to like. It's my job to tell you if they did a good job. So, for instance, if these shoulders, which are extra ugly, don't work, that'll be a problem. If they work really well, that's not a problem. You just have to decide what you care about personally. That's how that works. Anyway, this guy is in stock at Big Bad Toy Store right now. So if you want one, link in the description below. You can wait till the review's over if you want to do that. But if you think you might be inclined, there is a link directly to this guy and you can check him out for yourself. Okay, let's do a height measurement. He stands in a slightly hero pose, but mostly straight up and down, about 6 1/4, maybe 6 3/8. That's going to be roughly 16 centimeters, give or take. Here he is up against the Marvel Legends Spider-Man, the best one ever, probably. Hey, what are you pointing at there? Knock that off. They're about the same size. You know, proportioning is different. He's probably a little bit shorter, but still, there you go. Here he is up against a Darwin, a more generic figure. A little bit shorter, but I think definitely fudgeable. You could fudge this guy right into your Marvel Legends if you wanted to. And I'm guessing if you're watching this, you I'm guessing about 75% of the people watching this collect at least some amount of Marvel Legends. Others are strictly import or higher end things, I'm guessing. But most people, I think, dabble. Alright, there we go. There's your height comparisons. I gotta start off by saying, this guy has a much better look than the first one. By a lot. I hated the way that first one looked. It looked so much like kibble. It looked like a transformer. This guy, if you can like just squint a little bit to ignore the shoulders, he looks freaking good. Very stylized, but you know what? I like my comic characters to look stylized. I don't want them to look like people in cosplay. I love that this guy has muscular thighs, a narrow waist, big broad chest and shoulders. I love the silhouette on this guy. The silhouette is a very important part of the sculpt for an action figure. You're going to see the silhouette before you see any other details, so it's very important to nail it, and I think they did. Even with those goofy ball hinges that I don't think are good enough for what they do. It's still a much better looking figure. Okay, that's personal preference. Also, it's not, because he does have a really good silhouette. Okay, let's talk about the details for the aesthetic. I love the blue paint. The metallic blue is really nice. The slightly metallic red, less good, but I do think they pair nicely, and it looks good on a shelf. The spider logo, very clean. It looks like it has more green on it in the photos than it does actually in the figure. The eyes do have a little bit of that greenish color to them, but they're very, very clean. They look nice. The webbing throughout looks like a wash, so it's kind of reminiscent of the older Toy Biz figures. But it looks decent. There's no shading anywhere as far as I can tell. Just the web lines that are there and the metallic. But I have to say that blue, that like satin finish blue metallic, wow, is that a good look. That's going to look good on a shelf. It catches the light wonderfully. It's not because of the studio lights, it's because it's metallic. And then the red is slightly metallic, but I think it's a good looking figure. I love that. Looks really, really nice. Okay, so aesthetically it's good. You're going to see the joints. People love to point out the knees. I hate the knee thing too. Only because it doesn't need to exist. We'll talk about this more when we get into the articulation. It looks fine like that, but as soon as you bend the knee, you get that, which you don't, it's not supposed to be there, and it's not hiding anything even. So yeah, they do some weird things that definitely are valid, objective criticisms of the line. So you have to decide if you want to look past that for all of the benefits of the line. So anyway, aesthetically speaking, for a Revoltech, accepting that it has these extra cuts and things, it's gorgeous. This is one of the, just squint your eyes, guys, that's one of the best Spider-Man silhouettes we've seen in an action figure ever. Squint your eyes and look at the screen. Pause it. It is a good silhouette, and it makes such a difference. Okay, I can't harp on that enough because it's a really important thing that we don't... Look at this silhouette. Does that freaking look like anything? I can't do it. Okay, let's talk about the accessories. He comes with 2 fist hands on him in the package, then you get a whole slew of all the other hands you could want. Very happy about that. They all look nice. I love the dynamic sculpts on there. For his head, you don't get an alternate head, but you get alternate eye plates, which are kind of reminiscent of Deadpool, but if you're okay with that, that's fine. I don't see how they could give you the eye shapes. Like, for instance, for me, Spider-Man, and I know it's not always the case, but Spider-Man's whole, the black part and the white part, the whole thing should change shape when he's changing his expression. I know it's not realistic. I don't care. So this is less good for me. This is way more along the lines of a Deadpool type thing. But even then, it's whatever. I don't care. Personally, you get options. If you like them, great. If you don't use them. I would use the top set or the ones that are on him personally. I don't need these. But hey, it's cool that you have them, and they work well enough, so that's good. You do get a little tool to pop those out if you need it. For webbing effects, this is why I was saying, like, I would really like a classic-looking Spider-Man. They're all very green. I love the sculpts. The plain old web shots look awesome. Very green. The little short fat web shots, again, awesome. Very green. And then the web wings, awesome. Very green. If you're good with the green, you're set. If you want plain ones, hopefully they make a different colored version. It's kind of a trade-off. You're going to have to do it because it's the only thing they have right now. As far as the display stand goes, it's a very good one. I love that they pack it in. Not every company does that nowadays, Bandai. So I love that. You get a few different options as far as pegs and clips. And then you do get a different piece which goes onto the bottom of the display stand to replace the flat part, and that's a magnet. So that you can put them on magnetic surfaces on the display stand. I think that's really cool. I think that's... I don't know, what do you guys think? Is that better to have the magnetic display stand, or would you rather have a set of magnetic Tootsies? Let me know what you think about that. It's still cool that it's included. Accessory-wise, you don't need much more than that. I'll go 9 out of 10. You could have more, so there's the extra 1 point there. You could have more webbing and stuff, but that is solid. But now, the big part of this figure. Is the articulation good enough to accept? Even though it's good looking for a Revoltech, it is ugly in some ways. Like you can see big ass balls in the elbows and in the shoulders. The knees are weird. He has extra boot cuts down here. The usual Revoltech stuff is a problem. His chest can be collapsed over the web logo or spider logo. Things like that you might not like. So, is it good enough? Let's get into it. The head, ball pegs for the head and neck. He can do that. Like he can look all the way up, way too far up. You'll get a gap. If you don't like it, don't go that far. But if you want to do it from back here, you could. So you can get into very dynamic poses. And if you want to not have the gap, it still just leaves the head straight up. So that's good. And then this part, the top part, lets him look up and down very well. And then leaning side to side. Doesn't have the best range. You're going to have to pop it off and shimmy that peg around. But it works well enough, and the neck does lean. So the neck is definitely long, but if you put it in normal poses, it's really not too long. And you get good range out of it. It's probably not the best we've seen out of a neck, but it works well enough, especially in certain directions. Now for the shoulders, we have this giant plate that moves around on the side. It's probably the most, well, it's definitely the most dynamic one I've seen. I haven't reviewed a lot of these guys lately since I was put off by the line a while back, but lately they've been getting better. And this one moves around a whole lot. It covers the most plastic, so it has less of an obvious cut. But if you go too far forward, it does cover up the spider, and if you look this way, it looks really jacked up from back here. But it is the most functional, and it's not hideous. So I'll give them that. It goes very well forward and back. It doesn't go up and down really or anything. There's a little wiggle, but it's really just for that. It's a full-on butterfly moving the entire rib cage. I personally like it. I think it works really well, and it's nowhere near as ugly, partly because of the spider design, the logo, the web design. So that's okay. I don't mind that joint at all. It works pretty well. Now this, I still argue, and we'll see in a second, there's just too much of a gap for not much benefit, and they put the ball too far forward. This ball, I think, should be farther back. It keeps trying to focus on his face. It should be farther back to make it work better and look better, and be covered more, but let's see. I'm guessing we can raise the arm all the way up. Yes, of course we can. It definitely gets weird, and there's way too much gap to hide the ugly. So, it has to be really functional. It appears that it is. It's going to rotate in every direction, and because of this, it's a super functional shoulder. I do believe if you did it slightly more refined, you could get rid of less of the joint showing and have more of the sculpt showing and still have the same range. This one's not, it's very functional though. So if you like that, it's fine. If you're willing to overlook that joint, it's great. It's a super functional joint. It doesn't appear that there's any bicep swivel on this guy. It looks like it. I'm gonna have to give it some force. It should have a bicep swivel. They wouldn't have just... Thor had a bicep swivel. This doesn't feel like it wants to move. Do you guys... These aren't even lined up the same. It has to be a swivel, right? Yep, it is. Okay, good. There is a bicep swivel, so that's good. That helps. This one's really stuck. There we go. All right, so yeah, bicep swivel too. That's good. Functionally, this is awesome. It's probably one of the best functional shoulders ever. But it's still really ugly, and you probably could achieve mostly the same range, maybe like 95% with a much better look. So that's a trade-off you're going to have to be willing to accept. Bicep swivel's in there. Single jointed elbow, again, it'll be very functional, but hideous. Ugly. Ugly joint. Now you can do less, and it'll be less ugly, but that's the trade-off, so you have to decide what you want to do about that. It is a ball peg, so you get a little bit extra nuance in there, but not much. Ball hinge wrists are standard. Okay, let's talk about the torso here. It's gappy, but you get a load of range, so just don't push it too far, or push it in the direction you need and only look from that direction, and you get your range. A lot of people hate gaps. You can't hide all the gaps and have all the range. So you have to just ignore the gaps when you're going all the way, or just don't go all the way. Just do that, and then you don't have the gaps. So I love that. Very good range, obviously. Extra gappy to give you extra range. Just don't push it and you won't see him. Down here, again, more range. So he can lean over really, really well. He can lean back, not as well. Definitely a lot more limited, but it'll do. It'll be okay. All right, for the hips, ball pegs in there just like most Revoltech figures, so That's fine. You know what? I got a new camera and I haven't apparently turned off the stop looking at the face thing. It keeps trying to focus on his face. And it's weird because that's not a human face. Anyway, I have to find that setting and adjust it. So hopefully we haven't lost too much focus. Sorry if we have. So you have your big old ball peg in that hip. You're going to have to do some funny twists and things to get the legs where you want them in some poses, but you're going to get the range you need. It's in there for sure. Like, he can raise it up high enough and it works pretty well. Between the swivel here, that's an offset swivel, and that ball peg, you're going to get the range you need. You can probably achieve most of the unrealistic Spider-Man poses in the comics with this figure based on what I've seen so far. Now for the knees, like I mentioned, you get that really ugly knee pad that really serves no purpose. Just sculpt a freaking knee, a kneecap, and don't make it stick out like that. But you do get perfect 180 with the muscles tucked in nicely. Like, it's a really good looking setup right here, other than this. I heard somebody complaining the other day that they still use single jointed knees on these figures. Who cares? Who cares how many joints it is if it's functional? Like, you want it to be as simple as possible, not as complex. It's a really functional knee. And it's not like it's exceptionally ugly. There's a little bit of a cutout here. Sure, at the right angle it's ugly, but it's really functional and otherwise not that ugly. So I don't get it personally, but whatever. You get a ball peg down here for the boot swivel. It's ugly, but it helps you. It does do a little bit of extra wiggling, so that'll help you with certain poses, and the swivel is there too. Mine came twisted like this, so it's all warped to match the leg shape at the wrong angle, but I'll just heat that up and fix it. And then ankles are ball hinges, decent range, kind of weird shaped feet, but the whole figure's stylized, so that's good. You get good range out of them, no real problem. Toe hinge is in the right spot, and pretty well done. So yeah, this guy poses like you want him to. Is it a goofy figure if you don't try to make him look good? Yes. He's got a long neck, weird shoulders, all kinds of cuts all over the place. That comes with the territory. The question is, did they do a good job with what they were trying to do? And for the most part, the answer is yes. Could it be less ugly and still function almost the same? I think so, particularly in the shoulders. However, this is what they made. So you have to decide, is that okay for you? For me as a collector, absolutely. This thing poses great and generally looks great. I can look past the shoulder nubbins. As a reviewer, it's good enough that I'm going to say the articulation range-wise, 9.9 out of 10. Range compared to the amount of ugly, I'll give it like an 8.5 or 9 still, because it definitely could look better and still achieve basically the same functionality. So you have to consider that for yourself, what you care about. But I've given you as much information as I can and my insight personally. Alright, time for the final verdict. Is this the best Spider-Man figure ever released? I don't know. There's a million of them and they're all different and they do different things well. Maybe. It's the most posable, probably. It definitely has the most trade-offs, though. Like, if you want to bring the arms straight down, you have to have these things flip out. Like, the shoulders look terrible. So, you know, there's a lot of trade-offs. So, best at some things, yes. Worse at others? Probably. It's probably the most cut-up, ugly thing in that sense. So, it's a matter of trade-off. But for what it is, I'm going to give this guy an overall rating of 9.5 out of 10. I think if you're interested in having a really posable Spider-Man figure that looks generally really good, this is the one for you. You're gonna have to look past a few things, but I think you'll be able to. That's how I am with it, and I'm guessing most people who are interested in something that's hyper posable like this will be able to look past the issues. But let me know what you think about it in the comment section below, because that's it for me. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.